The Xiaomi Mi Mix 2 is pretty much a flagship when it comes to the beautiful design and the high-end processing power. However, in terms of camera hardware, it doesn't seem to impress much, at least on paper. For starters, there's no dual camera setup at the back that most other high-end smartphones are equipped with in 2017. That should mean that the camera setup that's there is either too good or Xiaomi hasn't really paid attention to the camera much. The primary camera at the back is a 12MP 1x2.9-inch Sony IMX386 sensor with f2 aperture, 1.25 micron pixel size and 4-axis OIS. We have seen it on the likes of the Meizu MX6, Honor 6X and Xiaomi's very own Mi Max 2 that we reviewed earlier. To be honest, this isn't a sensor that's really worthy of a flagship, and the only saving grace it could have is if the processing is great. But in reality, the images captured by the Mi Mix 2 is far from great. The image quality is average and the dynamic range is the same too. Even in HDR mode, the phone's dynamic range isn't all that great, and no matter where you try and meter the image, resulting images are almost always blown out in terms of highlights. Very rarely do you get an image as worthy of an HDR title. The HDR photos, however, take too long to capture, especially in lower light situations, and if you move too fast, you end up getting a blurred and unusable image. Sharpness is pretty good, and so is the detailing for a 12MP camera, but the noise levels are quite high. In low light especially, the phone deteriorates quickly in terms of image quality, which is something not really acceptable on a 2017 flagship product. The tilt shift option is the closest thing you would find to a portrait mode on this phone, since there is no secondary camera to bring out the effect truly. The tilt shift mode supports circular and linear blur effects. Circular would be ideal for macros and people as well as some objects, but linear would be more beneficial for landscapes and buildings as well as larger objects. The linear mode can be adjusted to be a vertical or landscape, and the blur portion too can be changed as per your liking. The effect can be beneficial at times, but if not done properly, it seems artificial. The panorama mode is pretty easy and allows you to take photos in vertical mode and stitch them together for a much wider and more dramatic frame. Stitching is done really well and smoothly, however details are lacking and sharpness too is low. The front-facing camera is a 5MP unit. It takes decent photos at best and doesn't provide too much sharpness or detailing, and you may see some ghosting if you aren't standing still. The beauty mode is available in Pro mode, where you get to select everything, or a smart mode where the phone chooses what's best for you. There is no HDR mode available for the front camera, even though the phone should be able to handle it easily due to the processing power. In low light as well, the performance is really poor. Video recording maxes out at 4K 30fps on the main camera. The footage isn't too great in terms of colors and dynamic range. The focus tracking too isn't too good even in continuous autofocus mode, and you'd be better off setting the focus to touch to focus and doing it manually if required. There is stabilization, but there seems to be too much of a parallax distortion going on that results in a jelly-like video when moving. The front camera captures videos at a maximum of 1080p at 30fps, and the story remains here as well. Videos are decent at best. There's decent detailing and sharpness, but the lack of stabilization really ruins it. Like the OnePlus 5, an EIS system for the front videos would have done wonders for the Mi Mix 2. Audio too isn't good from both the front-facing and rear cameras. My vocals over anything else, and it's a bit difficult considering the camera is located in a different position as opposed to most other smartphones. But once you get used to it, it's not that difficult as well. So yeah, that was a quick front camera sample in terms of video. The camera UI is pretty much identical to most other Xiaomi such as the Mi Max 2, and there's no special feature here that's worth highlighting. The camera supports various modes such as still shift, panorama and manual mode. The fastest shutter speed is 1/1000th of a second and the slowest is 32 seconds. The camera also supports 3 aspect ratios for photos, 4:3, 16:9 and an 18:9, which is the native aspect ratio of the display. Overall, the Mi Mix 2 is definitely not a flagship when it comes to the camera side of things. The hardware used in the first place isn't really high-end, and then you have mediocre software to top it off. What makes matters all the more surprising is that we are hot on the heels of the Mi A1 and 5X, which both had amazing cameras and at a fraction of the price of the Mi Mix 2. The Mi Mix 2 will hit Indian shores pretty soon, and there will be many wanting to buy it. However, if camera is a priority for you, we suggest that you look elsewhere unless you're willing to live with the subpar image and video quality. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next one. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to get the latest updates from us. Thanks for watching this video. See you again in the next one.